don't think Pusha T should be on the greatest 50 rappers of all time list?
Ow! What has he done? What has he done that puts him in the greatest rappers of all time besides talk about that he probably didn't kiss?
Oh man. Okay. It's what they want.
In the hyper-competitive world of rap, where egos run high, beefs are nothing new. But some battles go far beyond lyrical sparring and turn into intense personal, cultural, and even historical showdowns. The clash between Jim Jones and Pusha T is one of the clearest examples. What started as a seemingly harmless comment on a radio show quickly escalated into a full-blown lyrical war, social media jabs, and the inevitable involvement of veteran figures like Cameron and Mase, to names not only linked to Jim as former allies but also tangled in a complicated shared past. It all began when Jim Jones boldly stated during an interview on The Breakfast Club that he didn't believe Pusha T deserved a spot on the list of the 50 greatest rappers of all time. According to Jim, Pusha never had much of an impact on him or on hip-hop culture in general, and he even claimed he couldn't name 5 of Pusha's hits for a seasoned rapper like Pusha T, who made his mark with clips and iconic solo projects. This wasn't just dismissive, it was a direct hit to his credibility and legacy.
Sing along the 5 Pusha T records right now, his records.
Yes.
Name
I love Pusha. Nostalgia.
Oh, you was a Pusha T fan. He's like, I didn't know he had fans like that. Can you name 5 Pusha T records? No, his records.
See, but
no, can you can you rap to 5 Pusha?
I can't rap 5. No,
all right, can you rap to 5? Wait. Can you rap? If 5 Pusha T records, not the records he's featured on, if 5 Pusha T records came on right now, could you rap them?
You could rap 5 Pusha T records?
Yeah. Could you rap 5 Pusha T records right now if they started playing?
What do you mean rap though? Like the hook?
Could you sing them? You're not in my top 50. You might be in Charlemagne's top 50 and things like that. But you haven't done that much for me in my life. Like I didn't never want to be like Pusha. I never had a Pusha moment in my life. I never thought, like you dig, like where I'm from, want to be like you if you was really that dude and that rapper and things like that.
To be like Pusha? He was influenced by Pusha?
Yeah? Okay, cool.
That's why Pusha did the Mr. Me Too record.
Okay, cool. You a very strong Pusha T fan. Nigga, you was nowhere near the top 50. You top 950.
No one expected a simple Billboard list to spark such a heated feud. But given Jim's known loyalty to Drake, who has a long-standing feud with Pusha T, it felt more like Jim was settling a score for his boss rather than giving an objective opinion. From there, it stopped being just a rapper-to-rapper beef. It became a rehashing of the past, dragging up old wounds and reviving one of hip-hop's most complex triangles, Jim, Mase, and Ken.
You don't think Pusha T should be on the greatest 50 rappers of all time list?
Ow! What has he done? What has he done that puts him in the greatest rappers of all time besides talk about that he probably didn't kiss? What has he done? Nobody has dressed like him. Nobody wants to be like Pusha T. No, I don't remember nothing. And let's not be evil, but we don't talk about rap where that's popping the want to be like. I don't know too many in this game that was leaning towards being like Pusha T. I don't know no records they play in the club with or Pusha T. They don't play outside. NBA Youngboy before Pusha T.
That's wild, Jim. That's
NBA Youngboy before Pusha T.
That's crazy. What do you?
What?
Nah, Jim just trying to get everybody mad.
Pusha T around out here. You heard?
Jim trying to get everybody mad. That Jim's. Look at him. Look at him.
But that's what I'm trying. That's how I feel about Pusha T being on top.
Pusha T didn't rush to argue. Instead, he responded with the weapon he knows best: bars. And what better place than NPR's Tiny Desk stage, known for raw, intimate performances, to deliver a surgical strike? In a special appearance with his brother Malice, Pusha not only gave Clips fans a hit of nostalgia, but also used the stage to send a crystal clear message, a warning shot aimed straight at Jim. During the performance of Chains and Whips, Pusha didn't hold back. He didn't drop subliminals, he stared directly into the camera, unblinking. Comment cold like he was speaking to Jim Jones face to face. Lines like "you run from the spirit of repossession," "too much enamel covers your necklace" weren't just clever wordplay, they were stabs at reality, referencing Jim's rumored home foreclosure. Pusha wasn't just throwing shade, he delivered every lyric with the precision of a surgeon. Each word a calculated blow, and then came the knockout. Line, we all in a room, here's the elephant, you chasing a feature out of your element. A clear jab at Jim, allegedly begging for a Drake feature, implying that instead of building his own legacy, Jim was riding the coattails of someone else's fame. Pusha didn't need to name names. Every bar hit so clearly, the audience instantly knew who he was talking about. Pusha's calm, confident, and calculated delivery turned the performance into what many online called a lyrical knockout. People weren't just talking about the music, they were talking about an artful retaliation. Something with depth and impact that shook the room. Jim Jones, of course, didn't stay silent after that precise strike, but instead of firing back with something new and powerful, he recycled. Just days after Pusha's Tiny Desk performance went viral, Jim dropped a freestyle as a response. But the real shock, the freestyle had been recorded over 2 years ago. The story goes that Clips once performed Chains and Whips during a Louis Vuitton fashion show. A snippet of the song leaked, and Jim seized the moment to record a freestyle over that beat, almost like he sensed drama was coming. But pulling out an old track in a fresh rap war didn't go unnoticed, and Jim became the punchline. He wasn't just mocked online for responding late. Fans themselves roasted him for trying to resurrect a battle he already lost from the get-go. His Instagram caption, "I thought we already handled this. That table's too small. Let's get a bigger table," only made things worse. Instead of showing confidence, it came off as petty and awkward. The comments said it all. "You got hit so hard you had to recycle an old verse? You didn't even name names and think you can go toe-to-toe with Pusha." The criticism didn't let up, and Jim was further cast as the rapper getting spun in circles by someone else's bars. It was like watching a boxer who already lost in round 1 try to stand back up, hoping for a miracle only to get hit again. In the public's eyes, Jim wasn't just losing, he was turning his defeat into entertainment. While Jim Jones was scrambling to recover from Pusha T's lyrical smackdown, to former allies Mase and Cameron chose a very different role. Front row spectators, laughing and munching on popcorn. Seriously, if you watch the clip from their podcast It Is What It Is, you can't help but laugh when Mase nearly chokes on popcorn as Cam drops bomb after bomb on Jim. To really understand this moment, you have to know that the relationship between these three isn't simple. Mase, Cameron, and Jim were once part of an early Harlem-based rap group called Children of the Corn. But according to Cameron's version on the podcast, the truth isn't exactly as Jim tells it. Cam claims that he and Mase were the ones leading the group, and Jim, he was more of a super fan who just happened to live nearby because his grandma's place was close. Cam didn't hesitate to rewrite the narrative. He said flat out that Jim Jones didn't grow up with them in Harlem, despite what Jim has often claimed. Instead, Cam said Jim came from the Bronx and had only crossed paths with them a handful of times. He made it clear, "I didn't grow up with you. You weren't part of the original crew. You came later and you were a fan." Mase, on the other hand, kept it light. He didn't throw direct shots, but laughed hysterically at Cam's stories, nodding along. But that laughter hit Jim hard. It got under his skin. So much so that Jim later spoke out on a different show, saying if he ever ran into Mase again, he'd smack the popcorn right out of his hands. To the public, Jim started to look like the main character in a comedy he didn't even realize he was starring in. Every time he tried to defend himself, Cam and Mase would drop more receipts from the past, peeling back the layers of the image Jim had worked so hard to build. And Mase, he didn't have to say much, just laughing was enough to put Jim on his heels. That's the power of silent trolling, and Mase was playing it perfectly. To understand why this beef between Jim Jones, Cameron, and Mase is so bitter and personal, you've got to rewind to decades back when their bond wasn't just musical but based on genuine friendship. Mase and Cameron grew up together in Harlem, dreaming of success, trading freestyles on the streets, and eventually forming Children of the Corn. Jim Jones, at least according to Cam, was a later addition, an outsider who only showed up once. The group started getting buzz, but that's not how Jim remembers it. In multiple interviews, he's claimed he was an integral part of the group, bonded with Cam and Mase from the very beginning. He's even told stories about how Mase turned his back on the crew after blowing up. According to Jim, once Mase signed to Bad Boy and became a star overnight, he started acting different, especially toward Cameron. That's when Jim says he lost all respect for Mase. Cam, though, completely rejected that version of events. On the podcast, he made it clear Jim wasn't around in the early days of Children of the Corn. He remembered Jim as someone who'd hang around, listen to their music, and beg to join. And Cam wasn't done. He also called out Jim's claims about where he grew up, saying again that Jim was from the Bronx, not Harlem. To Cam, Jim pretending to be from Harlem and placing himself at the center of the group's legacy was unforgivable. Then Cam poured gasoline on the fire by revealing that it was Mase who taught Jim how to rap in the first place. This isn't just gossip. Jim himself has admitted in past interviews that Mase was the one who sat him down, taught him how to write verses, how to ride the beat, how to build rhythm. But now, when Jim goes around claiming he was the one who created Dipset's signature sound, even saying he inspired Cam's iconic pink fashion look, that, to Cam, is just a total rewrite of history. At this point, their feud is no longer about music. It's become a war of egos, distorted memories, and unspoken truths. When former friends can't even agree on the past they shared, every word becomes a weapon. Backed into a corner after Pusha T's diss, the backlash from fans, and Cameron's ruthless revelations, Jim Jones didn't choose to quietly retreat. Instead, he doubled down with a risky move, launching a direct attack on Mase and Cam, two men who were once his brothers, now his rivals. In a recent interview, Jim spent a whole segment going after Mase's appearance. No filter, no hesitation. He mocked Mase hard, needs a full checkup, needs to lose weight, needs to get on a treadmill. These weren't just jabs, they were personal digs, way past the point of no return. This wasn't about music or who's top 50 anymore. It was personal disrespect between former blood brothers, and Jim didn't stop there. In another conversation, he laid claim to the Dipset image and aesthetic. According to Jim, he was the architect, the man behind the Diplomat style, street swagger, and overall brand. He even hinted that he was the one who inspired Cameron to wear the now famous pink outfit that took over early 2000s hip-hop fashion. Naturally, Cam wasn't having it on It Is What It Is. He clapped back hard. He made it clear Jim wasn't there when Dipset was formed. He wasn't setting the image, wasn't calling the shots. In Cam's words, Jim was added later after the group already had traction. And to put the final nail in the coffin, Cam stated, he asked to join. We didn't grow up together. I never considered him Harlem. That one sentence tore down everything Jim had been trying to rebuild: his reputation, his credibility, his connection to Harlem's golden era. Jim's aggressive strategy was clearly a last-ditch effort to grab attention and regain control of the narrative. But instead of winning people over, he started losing the goodwill of even neutral fans, the kind of audience who might have sided with him had he chosen a more calculated approach. Looking back at everything that unfolded, it's hard not to notice the stark contrast in how each side handled the beef. On one side, you had Pusha T, cool, composed, only speaking when necessary, but every time he stepped up, it was a lethal hit. On the other side, Jim Jones, impulsive, quick to respond, but lacking control, and the more he tried to fix the mess, the deeper he sank into the hole he dug himself. This wasn't just a rap beef anymore. It had evolved into a full-blown stage where legacy, history, and ego were being put to the test. For Jim, it wasn't just about going up against Pusha T. It became a war against his own past, against the people who helped him get into the game, who taught him how to rap, who gave him a platform, and now they were the very same people pulling the curtain back on his most carefully crafted narratives. In what seemed like one final play to flip the script, Jim announced a collaboration with Drake on an upcoming album titled Iceman. For some, this looked like an attempt to align himself more closely with someone still riding high in the industry, maybe a way to shift attention from the ongoing PR disaster. But as of now, there's been no sign that this move will change the course of events. While Pusha continues to maintain his cool, sharp image and still earns respect from critics and fans alike, Jim seems to be slowly unraveling. His public statements and actions have become more chaotic, more reactive, and ultimately more damaging to his brand. At this point, the audience doesn't even need a judge to declare a winner. The story speaks for itself, and in an industry where perception can sometimes matter more than the music, the ability to maintain composure in the face of controversy might just be the biggest win of all. So now it's your turn. As a viewer, a listener, a fan, what do you think? Is Pusha T really the sharp-tongued sniper who always hits his mark? Is Jim Jones fighting not just his peers, but his own history? And what about Cam and Mase? Are they simply observers? Or are they quietly directing the whole play from behind the scenes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button if this story kept you hooked to the end. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next, because one thing's for sure, this battle is far from over.